So the next time you're prescribed a life-saving drug, the first person to actually test it won't be a lab rat.
No, definitely not.
Right. And it definitely won't be you either. It's going to be this like digital ghost living on a server somewhere.
Yeah, which sounds entirely like a scene pulled straight out of a science fiction novel.
Oh, completely.
But, we're looking at the very real, very imminent frontier of modern healthcare here.
Exactly. And that is the mission of today's deep dive into our sources. We are exploring this fascinating document. It's titled The Future of Medicine, Biological Programming, and Personalized Health Revolution.
It's a heavy read, but a good one.
It really is. I mean, digging into this material has just completely rewired how I think about the entire concept of going to a hospital.
Yeah.
Or, even what it means to actually be sick.
Right, because the document outlines this monumental shift in our core philosophy of what healthcare actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the entire history of human medicine, it's been inherently reactionary.
Right. You get sick, you go to the doctor.
Exactly. You get sick, you show physical symptoms, and doctors essentially throw chemical compounds at those symptoms to just suppress them.
Hoping something sticks.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But what the source material details is an evolution from that reactionary practice into a highly proactive discipline.
Right.
We're moving toward a reality where medicine operates much more like software engineering. Like, we are learning to reprogram human biology from the inside out.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Because if we are going to start treating the human body like a complex piece of software,
Which is a crazy concept on its own.
it is. But if we do that, we have to start with the foundational code.
Mm.
And for us, that source code is our DNA.
Yep. The genetic blueprint.
Right. Now, we used to think of genetic mutations as permanent typos in your biology, right? Like typos you just had to live with.
Yeah, just the hand you were dealt.
Exactly. But the source material dives heavily into genetic editing, specifically CRISPR-Cas9. And the usual analogy is that it's a cut and paste tool, but the text goes much deeper into the actual mechanism.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much more sophisticated than just like a word processor.
Yeah, the word processor analogy really falls short because it implies a static document.
Right, like you're just hitting backspace on a screen.
Exactly. A much more accurate way to understand CRISPR, at least based on the text, is to think of the Cas9 protein as like a microscopic biological drone.
A drone, I love that.
Yeah, and the guide RNA attached to it is the exact GPS coordinate. So when researchers put this complex into your cells, the guide RNA actively scans your entire genome.
Which is what, billions of letters?
Billions of letters of DNA. It scans until it finds the exact sequence it was programmed to locate.
So it's a highly targeted search and destroy mission.
Well, more like search and replace, actually.
Ah, okay.
Once it finds the target, the Cas9 enzyme physically unwinds the DNA helix and acts like a pair of molecular scissors.
Wow.
Yeah, it just snips out the faulty sequence. And then the cell's natural repair mechanisms kick in to fix the cut.
Oh, so the cell heals itself.
Right. And scientists can actually provide a new healthy piece of DNA for the cell to use as a template during that repair process.
That makes the application to specific diseases so much clearer. I mean, the text brings up conditions like Mediterranean anemia.
A prime example, yeah?
For those who aren't familiar, that's a condition where a genetic fault means your blood simply can't carry enough oxygen to sustain your body.
Which is devastating.
Historically, that was a life sentence written into a person's biology before they were even born. But by sending that biological drone to the exact GPS coordinate of that faulty gene.
You literally swath the instruction out.
Exactly. We aren't managing the anemia anymore. We're erasing it.
And that reprogramming concept, it scales up beautifully when the source discusses fighting cancer.
Oh, man, the CAR T-cell therapy part?
Yes.
Yes, I spent a lot of time on this section because the biology here is just incredible.
It really is.
So the way I understand it, T-cells are the frontline soldiers of your immune system.
Correct. They do the heavy lifting.
But the problem with cancer is that it often cloaks itself to look like normal, healthy tissue. So the T cells just walk right past the tumors without attacking them at all.
That is the exact hurdle. Cancer evades the immune system through biological camouflage.
Right, biological camouflage. So with CAR T therapy, doctors literally extract your T cells from your blood.
They take them right out.
Yeah, take them into a lab, and using genetic editing, they engineer these cells to grow specialized hooks on their surface. I think they're called chimeric antigen receptors.
Yep. ChirRs.
Right? So it's essentially taking that frontline soldier, outfitting them with specialized thermal goggles designed to see through the exact camouflage your specific cancer is using.
And then multiplying them by the millions.
Yes, millions of them. And when they put those newly programmed supercharged cells back into your bloodstream, they hunt down the disease with lethal precision.
What's fascinating here is the philosophical shift. Notice that. We are moving away from traditional chemical warfare against the body.
Yeah, no more carpet bombing.
Exactly. We aren't just pouring toxins into your system and hoping the tumor dies before your healthy organs do.
Right.
We are literally updating the software of your white blood cells so they can recognize a threat that was previously invisible to them.
But that leads me to kind of a biological wall. Because, sure, rewriting the DNA to prevent a disease or outfitting T cells to fight a tumor, that's an amazing software fix.
Sure.
But what happens when the physical structure of a vital organ is already destroyed?
The hardware problem.
Yeah. If a liver is entirely cirrhotic or a heart is structurally failing, rewriting the DNA won't unscar that tissue. At a certain point, a software fix can't save a shattered hard drive.
That's a very valid distinction.
Yeah.
When the hardware fails, you need new hardware.
Right.
And that brings us to the source materials projection for the end of the donor search era.
Oh, this part blew my mind.
I mean, the agonizing wait on a transplant list is going to be replaced by regenerative medicine and 3D bioprinting.
Now, when the text says 3D printing, we have to be clear for you listening that we aren't talking about synthetic plastics or like titanium joints here.
No, not at all.
I read the breakdown of how these bioprinters actually work, and the ink they use is made of the patient's own stem cells.
Right. Biological ink.
But what I found really fascinating is that you can't just print a puddle of cells and expect it to become a heart.
Right. It would just be a blob.
Exactly, a blob. The printer also lays down something called an extracellular matrix.
Yeah, the biological scaffolding.
Exactly. It's like the mortar between the bricks. It prints the scaffolding and then layers your stem cells into that structure to create artificial tissue, liver patches, skin, cartilage.
And the ultimate goal is a fully functioning, vascularized heart.
A printed heart. It's wild.
It is. But the implications of using the patient's own stem cells to populate that scaffolding, that changes the entire landscape of transplant surgery.
How so?
Well, today, the greatest risk of a transplant isn't just the surgery itself, right? It's rejection.
Oh, right. The immune system fighting it.
Yeah, your immune system constantly patrols your body, checking the ID badges of every cell. When it sees a donor heart, it registers foreign DNA and attacks it as an invader.
Which is why transplant patients have to take heavy immunosuppressant drugs for the rest of their lives.
Precisely. But if an organ is printed using your own biological material, your immune system checks the ID badge and it's a perfect match.
The body just accepts the hardware as its own.
Yep. Zero rejection.
But, okay, this creates a huge logistical question for me.
Let's hear it.
Let's say we successfully print a custom piece of liver tissue. How do we test new medications on it?
Okay. Testing.
Right, if we're creating the entirely new custom-printed biological structures, how do doctors know if a new drug will be toxic to that specific tissue? We don't want to destroy the new liver.
No, we definitely don't. And that exact problem is solved by a technology the source calls the organ on a chip.
Okay, yeah, I read that section, and honestly, my initial thought was that scientists were literally growing a miniature liver on a silicon computer motherboard.
A lot of people picture that.
Right, but looking closer at the mechanics, it's actually about microfluidics, right?
It's entirely about microfluidics. An organ on a chip isn't a computer processor at all. It's a clear, flexible polymer about the size of a USB drive.
Okay, so a tiny piece of plastic, basically.
Basically. And inside this polymer are microscopic hollow channels. Researchers line those tiny channels with the living human cells, like the ones we just talked about bioprinting.
But why put them in tiny channels instead of just a standard Petri dish? That seems overly complicated.
Because cells in a static Petri dish don't behave the way cells in your body do.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, your body is a dynamic mechanical environment. Blood flows, lungs expand, muscles stretch.
Right, we're always moving.
Exactly. The microfluidic channels allow researchers to pump a blood substitute through the chip, which creates the exact mechanical shear stress the cells would experience inside you. A lung on a chip actually physically stretches and contracts to mimic human breathing while the fluid flows past it.
That is, wow. So you are creating a mechanical living proxy of the organ.
Exactly.
And you run the toxicity trial on this proxy. If you introduce a new drug, and it destroys the tissue on the chip,
Hmm.
to tweak the chemical formula before you ever ask a human being to swallow a pill.
Spot on.
You reduce the side effects to zero by doing the trial and error on isolated hardware outside the body.
Outside the body, exactly. But, the text doesn't stop at external testing.
Right.
It transitions to how we achieve that exact same level of zero collateral damage precision inside the human body.
Okay.
We are trading the surgeon's scalpel for microscopic machinery, nanomedicine.
Taking the precision testing outside and bringing it inside. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The traditional analogy the text references for something like chemotherapy is carpet bombing.
Which is tragically accurate.
It is. You flood the entire bodily system with heavy, toxic drugs to kill the cancer, which causes terrible collateral damage. Hair loss, extreme nausea, weakened immune systems.
It destroys healthy cells along with the sick ones.
Exactly. The source contrasts this by describing nanorobots as smart bombs. But how do they actually work? I mean, how does a microscopic robot navigating a massive bloodstream actually know it has found a cancer cell?
It relies on chemical lock-and-key mechanisms.
Lock and key.
Yeah. See, these nanobots aren't robots in the sense of having tiny microchips and propellers.
Like Fantastic Voyage or something.
Right. Not like that. They are incredibly complex molecular structures, often built from biological materials like folded DNA or specialized lipids.
Folded DNA.
And they are designed with specific chemical receptors on their exterior.
The key.
Yes. Tumor cells often overexpress certain proteins on their surface that healthy cells do not have.
Okay, so they stand out chemically.
Exactly. The nanobot is engineered so that it will only bind to that specific protein signature. It floats blindly through the bloodstream until it chemically clicks into the unique lock on the cancer cell.
And then what?
Only when that exact connection is made does the nanobot undergo a structural change, opening up to release its payload of heavy drugs directly into that single cell.
Meaning the toxic payload never spills into the general bloodstream.
It's perfectly contained.
That is it's perfectly contained. And the source points out that these nanostructures aren't just for drug delivery either. They act as a continuous internal security force, like nanosensors.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about the maintenance of the biological infrastructure.
Right. Imagine microscopic sentinels patrolling your veins 24/7.
A tireless security force.
Exactly. Their job is to detect early-stage blood vessel blockages. They measure the chemical precursors to plaque buildup. Long before a blockage becomes severe enough to cause chest pain or, God forbid, a heart attack, the sensors detect the anomaly.
And they either clear it mechanically or alert a medical system to administer a targeted drug.
It's the ultimate realization of proactive medicine.
Yeah.
You are neutralizing the threat at the absolute smallest microscopic level before a symptom ever has the chance to manifest.
That's the dream, right?
I love the idea of that, I really do, but I have to push back on the logistics here.
Uh-oh. Lay it on me.
Because we've covered some staggeringly complex tools. We have CRISPR drones altering DNA, bioprinters laying down cellular scaffolding, microfluidic chips simulating organs, and lock-and-key nanobots patrolling the blood.
Use quite the arsenal.
With an arsenal this vast and variable, how does a doctor know exactly which tool, which specific drug, or what exact dosage will work for you specifically? Because every single human body reacts differently.
It is a massive variable, a huge hurdle.
Exactly. Now, the source describes this digital twin living in the cloud, running simulation treatments to figure it out. But I have a hard time grasping how a computer model can be truly accurate for a living human.
Because humans are messy.
Very messy. My genetic code might be static, but my life isn't. If I get incredibly stressed at work, sleep for only 3 hours, and eat a dozen donuts, my cloud clone doesn't know that.
Right. The clone thinks you're perfectly healthy.
Exactly. How can a digital model predict how my physical body will react to a new blood pressure medication under those conditions?
The assumption there, though, is that the digital twin is a static file, like a medical record in a filing cabinet.
Which it isn't.
No. The source emphasizes that the digital twin is a dynamic, continuously updating simulation. It certainly begins with your foundational data, sure, your sequenced genome, your medical history, your metabolic baseline.
Okay.
But it doesn't stop there. It is fed continuously by real-time biometric tracking.
So we're talking about integration with smart environments and wearable technology.
Exactly. Your smartwatch, smart clothing, even biological sensors track your heart rate variability, your blood oxygen levels, your sleep cycles, and your cortisol spikes in real time.
Oh, wow.
All of that multi-omics data is fed back into the cloud.
Yep.
Constantly.
Okay, that changes the picture completely. So it's more like running a million crash tests on a virtual car, but the virtual car is constantly updating its own tire tread and brake wear in real time based on how I'm driving the physical car today.
That is a great way to look at it. So let's say a doctor wants to prescribe a new medication. They run the drug through the simulation of your dynamically updated twin first.
And it uses all that fresh data.
Yep. The computer calculates the interactions based on your specific genome and your current stress levels. If the simulation shows that the drug disrupts your digital copy's heart rhythm, the physical drug is never given to you.
Wow.
It completely eliminates the guesswork and the trial and error of modern prescriptions.
And reading further, the predictive power of this twin extends way beyond immediate prescription.
Oh yeah, forecasting.
The text talks about a 10-year forecast. Because the twin is constantly absorbing your real-time data, like your diet, your exercise habits, your sleep quality, it runs predictive algorithms to calculate your precise risk for specific diseases a decade down the line.
Which is kind of terrifying, but amazing.
Right. Imagine waking up, checking your phone, and your digital twin alerts you that your current biological trajectory will result in type 2 diabetes in exactly 10 years.
It gives you a roadmap.
Yes, allowing you to change your lifestyle while you still have the power to alter the outcome.
It acts as the ultimate early warning system for your own biology.
So, okay, we've mapped the body, we can simulate the organs, we can print the tissue. That brings us to the most complex hardware of all,
The human brain.
the human brain. Now, the text has this striking phrase that frames a paralyzed patient walking again or a blind person seeing no longer as a miracle, but simply as a technological update.
A technological update.
Yeah, we're talking about brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs.
Yes, BCI technology pushes us to really reevaluate the limits of human capability.
Yeah.
When we talk about a severed spinal cord, the biological pathway that carries the electrical signal from the brain to the legs is broken.
It's physically cut off.
Historically, the medical goal was to try and biologically heal that cord, which is incredibly difficult, almost impossible in many cases.
But the BCI bypasses the cord entirely.
Exactly.
I was reading about how these neural prosthetics actually intercept the action potentials in the brain. Basically, a thought is just an electrical impulse in your motor cortex, right?
That's all it is. Electricity.
So the interface reads that electrical language, translates it into binary computer code, and uses machine learning to decode your intention.
And then
It sends that signal wirelessly straight to a prosthetic limb.
the neural pathway is entirely replaced by a digital one. The patient controls the machine using just the electrical impulses of their mind.
Which is mind-blowing, literally.
It is. And while restoring motor function is incredible, the source dives even deeper into cognitive support.
Oh, this is the part dealing with memory and Alzheimer's, right?
Exactly. This raises an important question about identity. In neurodegenerative diseases, specific regions of the brain, like the hippocampus, which is crucial for forming memories, they begin to physically deteriorate.
The biological hardware essentially breaks down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The text posits that neural chips will eventually step in to act as functional bridges.
Wait, hold on. So if the biological bridge between a short-term experience and a long-term memory degrades, the neural chip reads the electrical impulse of the experience and artificially routes it to the correct storage area in the healthy parts of the brain.
You've got it. It's essentially acting as an external hard drive, seamlessly integrating with your biological tissue to preserve your cognitive function.
Wow. It's literally reading the electrical language of your thoughts and translating it to preserve your actual identity.
Preserving who you are, yes.
Let's take a breath and just recap this incredible journey we've been on through this source material.
It's been a lot of ground to cover.
It really has. We started by looking at how CRISPR drones will locate and edit our foundational DNA to eliminate hereditary diseases. We explored how bioprinters will use our own stem cells to lay down scaffolding for perfectly matched replacement organs.
With zero rejection.
Zero rejection. We looked at microfluidic chips simulating those organs for flawless drug testing, and lock-and-key nanobots patrolling our blood to deliver targeted payloads.
And the digital twins.
Right, examining real-time, dynamically updating digital twins running crash tests on our biology. And finally, neural interfaces translating our thoughts to bypass physical decay. The overarching theme of this text is undeniable.
Your future healthcare will be entirely personalized, remarkably predictive, and aggressively proactive.
Yes.
It is a stunning, comprehensive vision of the future. But, as we absorb all of this, The source material leaves us with a profound concept to consider.
It does. It gets pretty philosophical at the end.
It really does. The text repeatedly frames all of this progress as fixing broken code and providing technological updates to the body.
Yeah, upgrading the system.
Right. We've talked about all these individual piece-by-piece replacements. But this leaves us with a question for you to mull over, related to an old philosophical thought experiment.
The ship of Theseus.
Exactly, the ship of Theseus. The idea is if you replace every wooden plank on a ship over time, one by one, is it still the same ship at the end?
Right.
If medicine becomes entirely about software engineering, where you can constantly upgrade, patch, and replace every biological part of yourself with a printed organ, a nanobot, or a neural chip.
At what point do these constant biological updates fundamentally change the human species?
Exactly. If we direct our own evolution purely through synthetic engineered upgrades, do we eventually leave the biological definition of human behind entirely?
Matt, that is an incredible thought to end on because suddenly that future doctor's visit we imagined at the very beginning, the one where a cloud copy of you sits on the screen,
Yeah.
it isn't just a medical appointment to cure a cough anymore. It's an appointment to decide what version of yourself you actually want to become.
It's designing your own evolution.
Truly. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into our sources. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and most importantly, stay curious.